Alright guys, so for today, January the 8th, we started day 1 of exponents and polynomials, which is adding and subtracting polynomials. So this is an example of a monomial, binomial, and trinomial. Monomial could be a letter or a number, or both, variable, number and a variable. A binomial is the same thing, but they're separated by a plus or minus, so that splits it in two. A trinomial is just 3 separated by a plus or minus. So that part is not the hard part. The hard part is combining like terms, adding or subtracting the correct way. So if there is nothing or a plus sign in front of the parentheses, then you can just remove the parentheses. So here there's nothing, remove the parentheses, and here there's a plus sign, so we can just remove the parentheses. Once we do that, then all we have to do is combine like terms. So x's with x's, numbers without an x with numbers without an x. So 4 and 3 give me 7, x, and then -5 plus 6 is +1. Now, if there is a minus, distribute a -1. So here, there's nothing in front of the parentheses, so we can just remove it. And here there was a minus, so we're going to put a little 1, so we're going to distribute a -1. So -1 times 4x squared gives me -4x squared, and -1 times 3y squared gives me -3y squared. Or the easy way, just think of it behind the minus, just change everything to the opposite sign and remove the parentheses. So that was a +4, now it's negative. That was a +3, now it's negative. Then combine like terms. So there's an x squared and another x squared, they will combine. So you only worry about the coefficient, the number in front. 1 minus 4 is -3. Then you would do the y's. 1 and -3 is -2. And then the y squared and the y squared, they don't change, they stay the same. So when we add and subtract, you only worry about the coefficient, meaning the number in front of the variable. So number 4 is the same thing. The first set of parentheses has nothing, so you can just remove the parentheses. The second set has a minus in front of it, so we put a little 1 and distribute a -1, which changed all the signs to the opposite, if you can see. Then I boxed the x squared, which gave me 6 minus 2. 6 minus 2 is 4. Then with yellow highlighter, I boxed the xy, so 12 plus 8 is 20. And then just the y squared we were left with 4y squared minus 2y squared, and those are like terms, so 4 minus 2 is 2, positive, so plus 2y squared. Again, the variable doesn't change and the exponent doesn't change, only the coefficient, the number in front. Number 6 and 7, we're subtracting. So I told you guys to make it easier on ourselves, kind of like over here when we're subtracting, change it to a plus and then change all the signs to the opposite. Like we did here, you could just change it to the opposite sign. So we change it to a plus and change all the signs to the opposite. Then I combine like terms. 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 plus 8 is 11. And then there was nothing with a regular number in the first term, so I put a 0, kind of like a gap. These should line up to have like terms. And if they don't, then we leave a space and you can put a 0. So same thing here. It was minus, so we changed it to a plus, but changed all the signs to the opposite. So we had 1 minus 1, x squared, so that was 0, so they canceled each other out. 2xy minus 2xy, which also is 0, so they canceled out. And then 1y squared plus 1y squared, which gave me 2y squared. Alright, number 8 and number 9 are the ones that most people are having a hard time. They're giving us a perimeter of the whole thing, and they're asking me for a missing side. So some people can just look at it and be like, oh, okay, I have 2x and 1x. In order to get 5x, I need 2 more x's. Something like that. So I can figure out without actually having to do this next part. But some people have to go step by step, which is fine because it'll work. So if they're giving you 2 sides out of 3, add those 2 sides, gives me 3x minus 1, y. And then subtract from the perimeter that they give us. So the perimeter is 5x plus 2y. When we add these two sides, we got 3x minus y, and we're going to subtract it. So we're subtracting, and again, just like we did up here, I asked you guys to change it to a plus and change the signs to the opposite. So this was 3, now it's negative 3. This was minus 1, now it's plus 1. 5 minus 3 is 2. Keep the x's with the x's. 2 plus 1 is 3. Y. That's our answer. So that's like number 5 on page 3 of our homework today. All right, number 9. Number 9 is like number 7 on the homework today, where they give us just one side and the perimeter, and they ask us to find this side. Well, we know that opposite sides of a rectangle are the same, so we just copy it twice, or a second time over here. Then we add those. That gives us 6x plus 10. 3 plus 3 is 6. 5 plus 5 is 10. Now, we subtract it from the perimeter just like we did over here. This is a perimeter. And when we subtract it, we're going to subtract 6x plus 10, but there is no x in our term. It's just a 6x squared and a 10. So we leave a gap here and we put a 0, just so we can line them up. It was minus, so we change it to plus and change the signs to the opposite. Then we combine like terms. 14 minus 6 is 8. 10 plus 0 is 0. And 12 minus 10 is 2. Now, they don't ask us for both of these. When we do this math, we get the measurement of both of these added. So we still have to get half, because we only want one side. So half of 8 is 4. Half of 10 is 5. And half of 2 is 1. So our answer is 4x squared plus 5x plus 1. Just be careful on number 7 on the homework, because there's two gaps, both on the perimeter, and both on when you combine the sides. There's also a gap there, so you're gonna have to fill it in with a 0. So just watch out for that one. Again, if you get stumped with it, the other ones are a lot easier, so just don't worry about it. All right, backside. We just went ahead and skipped number 10. Number 11, it asks for the total of the area, but they give us the area of each section. So if they're asking for total, we know we should add. So I wrote all of these here, and we just combine like terms. You have 3x squared, 1x squared, and 6x squared. Those have an x squared. So those combined, 3 plus 1 plus 6 gives me 10x squared. But there is an x and a minus y. There is no other x, so you just bring it along. And there's no other regular number, the minus 2, so you just bring it along. Don't leave it behind. It doesn't magically go away. What can combine will combine, and what can't combine, just put it at the end. All right, 12, 13, and 14, and 15 are probably the easiest kind. 12 tells us to find the perimeter of a triangle. It gives us the dimensions of the triangle, so we wrote them out here. And all you have to do is add all the sides. Combine like terms. So we had 1x plus 1x plus 2x gives us 4x. And 5 minus 2 is 3. And 3 minus 4 is negative 1. So when adding the sides, really you just have to worry about combining like terms. Same thing on number 13, except that it's a pentagon, so it's 5 sides. 3 of those sides are 2x plus 3, so we wrote it out 3 times. And then 2 of those sides are x minus 1, so we wrote that twice. We got 6x plus 9 and 2x minus 2, and together they give me 8x plus 7. All right, number 14, it says one rectangle has an area of this, a second rectangle has an area of this, and how much more square feet is the first rectangle? So almost everybody figured out we had to subtract. So we did 7x minus 4x plus 12 minus the second area. But since it was minus, we changed it to a plus and changed the signs to the opposite. It was a positive 4, now it's a negative 4. Positive 2, now it's a negative 2. Negative 1, now it's a positive. And then we combine like terms. See how they lined up very nicely? The x squared, the x, and the number. So that gives us 3, 6, minus 6, and 13. All right, and then the last one, subtract this from this. Since this one's first and it says subtract this one's the one that goes on the bottom. Since it is subtraction, we change it to a plus and change the signs to the opposite sign and then combine like terms. So 24 minus 3 is 21. 18 plus 6 is 24. Alright, so there's a video of what we did today in class.